What was your family like?
I had an amazing family up until I was 12 years old. I was when I was born, my mother was in her mid-teens and my father was 54.
Wow.
So I think my mother got pregnant when she was 15.
Wow.
And had me.
And your dad was a 54-year-old guy.
Yeah, but it was, statutory situation.
Okay.
Yeah, and and no one told me who my real father was. So technically, I'm a rape baby, yeah. And my mother married a man who was 20, who I'm named after, William, who looked nothing like me. So I had a brother I was raised with, my mother and my dad. Everyone has a father, but not everyone has a dad and a father. So I was lucky enough to have two different men as a father and a dad. And my dad was a fireman here in Los Angeles area, and my mother was young. He was 20, she was 16.
You guys were close?
Yes, and I was a kid that got good grades, never got in trouble, popular. I was an athlete. I was on the shy side a bit. I was a good boy. And then when I was 12, there was no drugs in the house, no alcohol, nothing. I was spoiled, I would say, because I had this other father, and they always say, "Hey, when you turn 18, we're going to tell you something." I'd be like, "No, tell me now. Yeah." No one ever told me, but
so your biological dad didn't show up in any of that time.
He was not allowed,
and you didn't know about him until you were 18?
I did not know about him.
To protect you,
I guess. My mother did the best she could. She said, and I believe that. And when I was 12, my mother left my dad. And he became very depressed. She moved down to San Diego, married some other guy, and I didn't see her very much. I was very resentful of my mother for leaving. My dad then was home all the time. It was like, "Why are you home?" "Oh, well, I'm thinking it's vacation time." Well, then he started getting drunk. And all of a sudden, we'd find empty bottles of wine in the laundry all over the house, like overnight. And like within a month, he was this raging alcoholic. It was crazy. It happened literally like within 1 month. He took his bed out of his bedroom, put it in the living room, and slept in the living room. And one morning, I heard this loud noise, and I woke up, and I looked down the hallway, and he had shot himself in the head.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and I found him. He was crawling on
the ground.
How old
were you?
I was 14. And I grabbed the gun, I hit the gun, and he lived. I called, this is before 911, I called 0, and the paramedics and fire department showed up and were working on him, were his friends, people he worked with, and he ended up living. The .22 slug went into his forehead and stayed in his skull.
Oh my God!
And he lost sight in one of his eyes, and he had this big dent in his forehead where they tried to operate on him. But other than that, he was fairly normal. He became what is the word?
Paraplegic?
No, he became
epileptic.
He had to take Dilantin, epileptic, and but he would still drink. And he took this, he would still drink. He became this. He was home a lot, not because he was on vacation, but because they forced him into retirement because he was showing up at the fire department drunk.
Well, after the suicide attempt, it sounds like it went way downhill.
Well, for the family, my mother showed up, took my brother with her. I wouldn't go with her. I ended up.
You wouldn't go because you were resentful that she had left in the first place.
Yeah, and I think that might be the first time I cussed. I cussed at her after my dad had shot himself, and then And then my dad went to the hospital. He lived, and he became a wandering alcoholic drunk in Los Angeles. Like he would be like at some like homeless squat, and I would find him on Christmas. And the thing about my dad, he's always looked very well put together, even though he was homeless drunk. He would have his backpack, and he would just be looking like very well groomed. It was amazing how he did that. And it's odd. He had this thing, I don't know what it's called, but where he would drink one beer and be hammered. It was something in his body then, he could be totally sober, drink one beer, and then he would be totally falling over. It was probably lots to do with the epilepsy and
And I think that, do you think that has to do with like the alcoholic gene that like
Maybe.
you have a, I mean, I barely drank, and what you hear about the alcoholic gene is that you have a drink and you don't know where the shutoff is and you just keep drinking until you're gone.
Yeah.
Do you really think it was just one beer, or do you think you didn't know how much he was drinking and the second he was
I
drinking?
honestly think it was just the one beer sometimes. It was really crazy. I was going to the University of Laverne at the time. I'd been back from Oregon, and he would come and try to live in my dorm, live in his car in the parking lot. He ended up getting sober, and he passed away of cancer. And he ended up getting sober the last few years of his life, and he became a minister down in Huntington Beach, married an older woman, and he got together. And the last time I saw him was before he passed of cancer was right before my son was born.
How much shame did you carry with you with your dad being this wandering drunk of Los Angeles?
You know, quite a bit. I looking back on it, you know, I've gone through a lot of therapy in the last 6 months, and you know, addressed some of these issues and some of the ways I felt about these situations for the first time ever. Just recently by going to Oro and going to Betty Ford. You know, let me say that it was instantly when this event happened, it was like I was like the parent, and if anything, some of the bad things that happen in your life and some of the trauma, it can hurt you, but it can also, for me, I think it's kind of, I've gained some kind of strength from it. I know that like when things become very chaotic in some ways, or like if there's an emergency situation, I think that I become calmer, and I think I become more of a person that is able to handle it, and I think it's because of this type of thing, you know.